Hello everyone, and welcome to the Miradore webinar on an overview for Android Enterprise from Miradore Online. My name is Sean Brennan, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Miradore. And now let's have a look at the agenda. First, our technical consultants and key account manager for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, Andreas Handler, will run through a demonstration and more about that shortly. Then we're going to follow up with a Q&A session with Andreas to answer all of your questions. So feel free to type your questions in the question box during the demonstration. And then some closing remarks. So just a bit more about the demonstration. Andreas is going to walk through an overview of Android Enterprise. So this is going to include walking through the setup, the device enrollment, the configuration process, and app installation. And this is based on one user by using business policies. And now I'll hand it over to Andreas, and we will begin the demo.
So thanks a lot, Sean. Everyone out there. Sean, can you confirm that you see my screen?
I indeed do. Thank you.
Perfect. You can see my browser here, and this is Miradore Online. It's a complete empty site, and everyone who registers at Miradore gets these sites, and I start completely from the scratch. I want to show you how to use Android for Enterprise with Miradore Online. The first step is go to the infrastructure diagram to activate the managed Google Play Enterprise. Therefore, I have to click Enroll, and then I'm pushed forward to the Google website, the Google for Enterprise site. Here, you need a Google account. It's easy to create one. You just have to push Start Now. My browser is now in German because I'm here in Austria. You have to type in the name of the organization and agree to the terms and say yes, and that's all. Now I have Android for Enterprise already registered. So I'm pushed back now to the Miradore site. But what I can do with such a Android for Enterprise environment, I can buy or get apps from the Play Store. Very easy, because later I want to show you how to create a container on your mobile phone, and you need the container to have apps in there and data that is secured. So let's add some apps there. In a normal company, you're using mail for communication, also with customers and suppliers. So I want to add a mail app here. I choose Android and the Manage Google Play Store. I say Next. And I'm going now directly to the Play Store and search for a mail app. I will choose the Google Mail app because I can configure it through the Android for Enterprise. You see this soon. So just click on it and say agree, and then it's added to your Miradore site. If you receive a mail in your mail app in this workspace, there can be attachments. So you have to have an app that can open these attachments. Therefore, I choose the Adobe Reader for PDFs. So I also add this app to my Miradore site. So if I say close now, I get back to my Miradore site and I can see those two apps. A very powerful thing with enterprise apps is the configuration. You can do the configuration of the apps already on the website. You don't have to touch the device. So what I do now, I configure the Gmail app that the user don't have to enter the server host name. So I enter here my mail server and say add. My mail server requires SSL, so I say please use SSL. And then I also want to send there the email address of the user, but this is no fixed value, it's a variable, and I want to take this variable from the user, so I choose email address, add, and I also want to have the username from the user. I say add again, choose the mail for exchange account and the username. Now the Gmail app is already configured. You can see the configuration here. This is the configuration for my mail server and for my environment. Now, how these apps get to the device, there are two possibilities: to click here and deploy it, but it's simpler and more efficient to use business policies. So I create the business policies and I say, okay, my business policies should just be deployed to users with this tag. And this tag is a special tag. It's for users. They have this Android for Workspace on the phone. I skip these configuration profiles. I choose those apps I want to deploy to the devices. I don't want to deploy any files to my device in this presentation. So now I'm already finished with creating the business policy. I call it Android for Enterprise. So next, and the business policy is created. I can see my business policy now here, and all this business policy is doing, it's deploying those apps to devices with the tag AFV. So the next step is that we have to create the user who should receive those apps. So I add a new user, and this user is Mr. Max Mustermann. So I type in here his email address, his name, and of course here his super secret phone number. Because I have no email account on the device, you can see on the right, I will send the enrollment credentials via short message. Therefore, I need the phone number. I've been talking about an email account before, and I want to configure this email account. I already configured the mail server in the Gmail app, but here I need to enter the username that is used to configure the Gmail app and the email address. I don't know the password of the user, I'm just the administrator, so I say here save. And now nearly all steps are done. I go back to the user, and because I want to have Android for Enterprise Workspace directly enrolled, I add here also this tag Android for Work. So now all the work is finished. I guess it nearly took me about 8 minutes to set up the whole mobile device management, and when we are talking also about file deployment and application management, we can say it's a kind of enterprise mobility management. So let's see how it works. Enroll the device. I select the user. Here is the email with some enrolling information for the user. I want to push the information forward to the user via short message service. I added here a link directly to the APK because this user don't have a Google Play account. and I also add the tag, and now I send the enrollment message. This should arrive now soon on my mobile device. I hope so. This is a little depending on the carrier, and if I have typed in the phone number correctly. And now it's there. I go now to the mobile device. I put the screen in here. I click on the link to download the APK. This is very quick because the Miradore APK is not so tall. Okay, I have blocked the installation from unknown sources. I allow it one time, and now I'm installing the Miradore client. The client asks me for some permissions because he wants to read the short messages, because the credentials are inside and he wants to use these credentials for enrollment. So I say allow, and I give the client all those permissions, and now you can see it's already connected to my site. It takes some seconds, and then it's possible to see the device in Miradore Online. First, the enrollment is queued, and now it's already completed. Switching back to my device, the device already requests the creation of a work profile, and I say, okay, I want to have a work profile. I have to agree the terms and conditions of Google. I want to set up, therefore I need some rights, and now the device is now setting up the workspace profile. We can here see now the enrollment was completed, and here we can see the events that happen on the device. This process will take some moments because Google is creating now the Google Play account. You can see here now the Miradore environment has enabled the workspace. This is in progress, and the app deployment is waiting until the workspace on the device is created. I hope this works very quick. Some basic informations in between. The Google for Enterprise works on Google certified devices from Android 5. I'm using here now a Xcover 3 Value Edition running Android 6, and yeah, it's a very low-end device, so it might take some time. On the top of the screen you can see a special symbol. This is always there when I use apps from the workspace. So if I use the Gmail account here, oh, it's already finished, or the Adobe Reader in the workspace, I can see the symbol. So there is the notification, Miradore managed profile created. I say OK, and then he asks me if he's allowed to uninstall the Miradore client in the private area. I say OK again. The uninstallation is finished, the client is stopped, and when I go back to my home screen, I can see there are some apps. I can see the Contacts app, the File apps, and the Play Store with the symbol. I refresh here, maybe the enrollment took a little too long. Okay, now Miradore is telling me the installation failed because it took too long. It retries automatically after some time, but I want to push this out to the device again. So I say, please retry the event of app installation. I open the Miradore client to get this information, and now the apps should be sent again to the device. I refresh if I have new information here. Click the refresh button. So I have here the workspace enabling, the Adobe Reader deployment, the Gmail deployment, all is complete, and also the unenrollment of the private area. So what makes this Android for Enterprise so powerful? I can go directly to this Gmail app. Okay, I open it up, and there is also already the user account pre-configured. We have the hostname, we have the SSL, we have the email address and the username. I have just to type in my password as user and wait until the client finished the final settings. So this makes this Android for Enterprise so powerful. You can configure apps on the server side. During this Gmail app is connecting to my Exchange server, I show you, oh, it's already creating the account. There has to be some updates because of my Exchange server policies, and now it's getting the messages. But this Gmail client is not just getting the messages, it's also getting the contacts. So when we go out there and we enter here, oh, as I mentioned before, it also tries to get contacts and the calendar. So here you can see my mail, and I got a mail from myself. Okay, I have enrolled a workspace on my phone. If I go in here, in the contacts outside of the container, I see my private contacts. When I go back in here and go to my company contacts, I see the contacts, they were synced from my Exchange server. So there are completely areas on the phone to protect the private data. So this looks great. I guess I'm now finished with my presentation. I can also show you the Adobe Reader. This is also a workspace app. There is nothing to pre-configure there. It's just a normal app. And on the top you can see this workspace icon next to the screen mirroring icon. That means that this app is running now in the workspace area. So I guess, Sean, this was all what I wanted to show. We have a workspace with email, with pre-configured accounts. We have a second app. We have the company contacts, and we can see that there is a difference between private contacts in the private area and business contacts in the business area. So, Sean, the stage is yours again.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Andreas. So now it's time for the Q&A part of our session, where Andreas is going to answer any questions you have. And there seem to be two here. One, is it just possible to configure email apps with Android for Enterprise?
No, there are also other apps that can be configured. I guess I have one here. I upped this my Play Store applications. There should be in between done some work in background, and there is the Chrome browser app too. You know, a browser can have several settings, like your Internet Explorer or Chrome at the desktop, and if you go to configuration, you see several variables to configure, like is it allowed to have JavaScript in the browser, or do some proxy settings or proxy bypass rules, and there are really a long list of settings you can adjust. So it's depending on the app. Every app can bring its own configuration, and this makes the Android for Enterprise very, very powerful and awesome and very efficient.
Wow, so lots of possibilities. Um, yeah, so there's one final question here. So you've shown us also using business policies. Is it possible
Yeah.
to include restrictions there?
Yeah, this is very easy possible. Restrictions are created with configuration profiles. There could be restrictions like the usage of the camera is not allowed. So you create the configuration profiles where you say, okay, it's not allowed to use your camera in the workspace, and then you simply add this configuration profile here to your business policy, and then this configuration profile is applied to all devices.
Okay,
So it's very easy.
yeah, sounds very easy. Great. So that seems to be all the questions for today. So we'll go to the closing remarks. And I'd like to thank everyone once again for attending. We'll have a transcript of the Q&A session out to you soon, along with a link to the video recording of the webinar. So thanks again, and don't forget to join us tomorrow. It's 2:00 p.m. Central European Time for our webinar on setting restrictions in iOS for Miradore Online. So thank you, and have a great evening. Thanks.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
See you.